Okay, tonight I will read to you an inspiring story. This is from Hakuin, found in Keiso Dokuzui, which is translated by Norman Waddell. The name of the book, the name of the translation is Poison Blossoms from a Thicket of Thorns. It's a compendium of Hakuin's writings. So this is Hakuin relating this story. Mr. Yamanashi Harushige, who lives in Ihara, Suruga province, doesn't read or recite the sutras, much less engage in Zen practice. But for the past 6 years, he has been performing hidden charity, taking care of the sick and elderly, and doing what he can to relieve their suffering. As he was visiting a friend's residence one day, he heard someone reading out a passage from a book. Quote, "If a man desires to master the Buddha way, he must above all achieve Kensho, awakening. Kensho is attained by the uninterrupted application of concentrated effort. If you practice with undivided effort, Kensho will surely come. For sentient beings with great courage, Buddhahood comes in an instant of thought. For sentient beings who are lax and indolent, Nirvana will not come even after endless kalpas, aeons, endless aeons." The words filled Yamanashi with joy. He plucked up his courage, saying, "If this is what the practice of the way entails, I see no reason why I can't rouse myself up and have a go at it." Returning to his home, he shut himself up in a room, clenched his teeth, and began to sit in an utterly motionless state. He battled constantly against intruding thoughts, adamantly refusing to submit to them. His entire body was drenched in nervous sweat. That night, before the 5th watch, between 3 and 5 a.m., he gave up his life and perished into the great death. This doesn't mean he physically died. It means he entered the state of such profound samadhi that everything dropped completely and utterly away. When dawn came and he gradually returned to his senses, he got up and immediately set out for my temple. When he arrived and knocked at my gate, I ushered him in and tested him with several koan stories. He passed through all of them without the least hesitation. Good for him, huh? Reading through the old Zen histories, as Hakuin continuing, it is rare indeed to find a story such as this one. The Japanese book Yamanashi heard being recited was the Dharma words of priest Takasui. Deeply conscious of the debt he owed Master Takasui after this experience, Yamanashi traveled to Jigen-an, a temple in Edo, where he obtained a portrait of the master. Mounting the painting himself, he brought it to me and asked me to write some words on it. I felt so happy for him that I could not refuse. I ended up summarizing his story and inscribing it over the painting. So this is a guy, it's a wonderful story. This is a guy who had no Zen training experience at all. We cannot say he was a Zen practitioner, but he, in the space of one evening, became completely a practitioner. And the important point of the story, as Hakuin points out, is that to break through our habitual delusion, to taste the flavor of the way for yourself, is really not much more than a matter of deciding to. But you have to truly decide to. This is the first night of Sesshin, and I know it's a difficult night. It's actually the second night of Sesshin. It's the end of the first full day. And it's a time when you have a lot of whatever it is you're going to be facing during the Sesshin coming up or starting to appear. And you habitually call these things or think of these things as obstacles or obstructions or difficulties, or I have pain and that's affecting my sitting, or I have a lot of emotion or thought arising and that's distracting me from my method. You forget that all of that stuff is your method. Nothing else is your method but that. This body-mind which is doing the practice of breathing the count or working on the koan is the one that's doing the method. And whatever it happens to have arising in it at any given time is the one doing the method. Nothing less. Nothing is obstructing you. Nothing is distracting you. It's all part of your practice inherently, de facto. You just have to allow it to be. You don't treat it as something separate from you. You know, our habit is we have pain in the knee, for example. And we look at that as a thing which is bothering me. No, it's you. It is you. It's the one doing the practice. The Buddha doing the practice to realize the state we call Buddha has a sore knee. And that way, that little change of mind means you can encompass it in your practice. You can accept those things. The difficulty is itself the road. It's not something trying to knock you off from the road. It is the surface under your feet. That's a very important realization. But back to my point, this kind of point or time in the sesshin or any time in your training actually, what you have to look at clearly is, are you actually deciding to do it? Have you actually decided to do Zen or to be a Zen practitioner? And you might say, well, I'm here, I'm wearing these clothes, I'm doing what the Jeki-jitsu or the Roshi is telling me to do. I'm sitting long until my legs get tired and start to become sore. I'm going without sleep. Yeah, I've decided to do it. I mean, I showed up here, I'm doing it. There are many people who go through Zen training, even for years, without actually deciding really to do it. We are very good at pretending to do something because we think we should, because we have some desire for it, but the desire is not really that acute, because we don't know what else to do with our lives. There are many endless reasons why someone could go through this difficult path of Zen training but not really give themselves to it, not really decide, I will do it. And then rarely you have someone like this in the story who comes along and just spontaneously, in a very natural, very pure, almost innocent way, says, oh, what does he say? If this is what the practice of the way entails, I see no reason why I can't rouse myself up and have a go at it. But the point is, from the very depths of his being, he made a strong decision. We often talk about it in terms of will. I have to have the willpower to do something. It's just a choice. What we call willpower is just choice, but it's the total choice, profound choice, a choice which is not deluding oneself or pretending to oneself or play acting, watching oneself on stage play a role. I'm a Zen guy. I'm going to do something special with my life. They've been telling me my whole life I'm special, and I'm good, and have so much potential, and I have to become something special, and I think I'm going to be a Zen guy. Just do it. Stop talking about it. Do it 100% from the depths of your being, in a very pure, very light way, like Mr. Yamanashi, Harushige. We say again and again, throw yourself into the training. Let go of everything else. Forget your outside life. Give yourself to the training. Sink down into it like a stone sinking into the water. And many people, okay, I'm sinking now. Can you see that I'm sinking? Are you watching me? I'm watching me. I'm watching me. Look at me. I'm a Zen guy. I know Zen trainees, some Zen trainees who trained for many years actually didn't want to do Zen. But they could never admit that to themselves, because they believed that they should want to do it. And maybe to some degree they're right. They should want to do it. But they really didn't want to. And that's a horrible thing. Giving yourself to it, deciding to do it, is the easiest thing, Because after that, everything else just follows. I'm not saying it's easier. The training doesn't become easier. But to do the training becomes easy. It's what you're doing. It's very simple. The kind of person who tries to compensate for lack of real desire, aspiration, lack of confidence, lack of a clear decision to just give themselves to it, to, for once in their lives, negate themselves, to give up the project of becoming something, or putting on an image of something, or being someone, or being special, to give all of that up and just do it. The kind of person who has trouble or is not unable to really decisively decide in that way to do it, will compensate by using excessive effort and tension. You'll see this kind of appearance. No, I'm a Zen guy, look how hard I'm trying. Even if no one else is watching us, we will put on a show for ourselves that way. That is worse to me than the kind of person who just doesn't even have the energy to pretend. At least they're being honest. Or, at least there's not a facade that you have to see through on top of the lack of desire or the laziness or whatever. Just to sit where you are and be completely there. To accept being completely there as nothing. Not as a show for anyone, not to prove to yourself anything, not to become something. Not because you have an image of, my life has some destined path. What a bunch of bullshit that is. Your destiny. Your destiny is, well, it's no different than the dog in the grave outside in the yard. That's your destiny. Even an animal can do it. It's called dying and rotting. That's your destiny. None of us are anything special, and that is a great freedom. It's not somehow demeaning you or denigrating you, but you are absolutely nothing special. And yet you have a potential, the ability to actualize what we call Buddha. If you decide to, then just do it. And who cares what you look like? Who cares if you're succeeding or failing? Who cares if anyone's watching you? You don't have to watch yourself. Just completely sit where you are. Whatever's arising in the body and mind, pain, bliss, thoughts, emotions, clarity, cloudiness, completely becoming with each breath the count, breathing with each breath the koan, encompassing all of that as the one doing the method. What could be lacking? That's the kind of practice which this guy was able to do remarkably, to quickly find the way to do, or naturally from the beginning could do. Oh, that's simple. I think I'll give it a shot. And he did. He just did it. Well, most of us not like that, huh? I think I'll give it a shot. The Roshi's coming. Or, I have a lot of emotion coming up. Oh. Me. Or anger. You. There's no end to the, I don't know, the acting that we do. If not for others, then for ourselves. But all that stuff, all that mushy stuff we get stuck up or stuck in, is cut through immediately if the profound decision is just made. I'm really going to do what I'm here outwardly doing. What I'm giving the appearance of doing, I'm going to actually do for once in my life. And not worry about the appearance, but actually do the thing which I'm pretending usually to do. Or as a famous saying, I don't want to say this is from the Stoics, maybe some of our philosophy people here will know. Who was it that said, what you would wish to seem to be, become? Does that ring a bell? Some reason I want to say Stoics, I'm not sure, but it's no different. You wish to seem to be a Zen practitioner, become one. You wish to seem to be clear, grounded, focused, you become that. How? Make the decisive, profound decision to just, for once, do it with your whole being. And practice that quality in everything you do. If you pick up a cup of tea, you drink it with your whole existence. Not trying to show something to others, not trying to prove something to yourself. Even to the point you cannot really say there's anyone doing it. You don't experience, I'm drinking tea. So that's a brief inspirational story from our old poisonous friend Hakuin Zenji. He finishes the story by saying, after Mr. Yamanashi felt so grateful to the person he had never met, whose words he had overheard, which led him to this realization, that he went to a distant temple, received a portrait of that person, asked Hakuin to inscribe verses on it, and one presumes hung it up and burned incense in front of it. I mean, that kind of devotion he had for a teacher he had never even met, let alone a living teacher. After that, Yamanashi often asked me for a Dharma name, but for a long time I did not give much thought to his request. Now I have decided to give him the Dharma name Ryotetsu, completely penetrated, and the lay name Jiun, compassionate cloud. I hope it will inspire him to a relentless determination that will enable him to undertake the great bodhisattva practice and perfect the seed of Buddha wisdom, together with all the other beings throughout the Dharma universe. Because even the realization which Mr. Yamanashi had was just the beginning, just the gate. Ryotetsu, completely penetrated. Good name. Hakuin says that he tested him with several koan stories, and Yamanashi passed through all of them without the least hesitation. That kind of experience is true too. If you have a sufficiently deep insight or kensho, awakening experience, you will be able to look sometimes at a number of different koans and immediately see through them. It's a very, very amazing experience. And also, you will look back at koans that you so-called passed previously, if you have done koan practice, and you'll realize, actually, I didn't understand that one at all. Or the answer I gave to that, not so good. That one, I was completely wrong. Why did my teacher pass me on that? You have that experience too. It's really remarkable. So anyway, I brought this up tonight because I found it an inspiring story. I want you to feel inspired. Even if you're a complete beginner, there are no limitations at all. You could this very evening have a profound awakening, or tomorrow, or next year. We don't know when. But a great deal of it depends on the very simple decision to make a decision. Decide or choose to do it. If you like to do Zen with your whole being. Not to become something, not to show something to others, not to prove something to yourself, but to awaken. And as Torei, Hakuin's great disciple, said, the first requirement for trainees, the first requirement, not the something you eventually are able to do, the first requirement, give up all benefit for yourself from the training. Give up all hope of benefit for I. How? Decide. Choose. Why not? I just want to say it again. I see no reason why I can't rouse myself up and have a go at it. Why can't you? You can. You will. Okay, that's all I want to talk about tonight. First full day. So second night of sesshin. Good work, good feeling, good energy so far. Please keep it up.